Okay.
I need to get out of here.
Then it's going. Hey everyone, good evening. If you want to make your wife real happy, then schedule a webinar on her birthday and then turn the camera on while she's not paying attention. That's what just happened, so I hope you got to see that. Let's see, slide presentation. We are talking peripheral neuropathy tonight, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive right into this. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart for the main reason that this is something that I can 100% have empathy for because I've been there. In 2009, I had testicular cancer. I went through chemotherapy, and as a result of it, I had that wadded up sock feeling at the base of my toes. And it got to the point where I would swear that my sock had flipped around on my foot and that seam that goes across your toe was on the bottom of my sock. But when I would take off my shoe to check, socks were fine. I just had that abnormal feeling, which led to pain. So I've been there. I know what it's like to have something like that happening and to go to the doctor and to hear, well, there's nothing that can be done. You've got to learn how to live with it. So I like this topic because I've been there and I know how you feel, and I know what it takes to overcome that, because the worst thing in the world is to hear that, well, there's no answers, there's nothing we can do, learn how to live with it. I hate that. That's irrelevant and it's not true, and I'm going to share with you why tonight. So here's a little bit about my background. I'm guessing most of you have seen my other stuff. You know this before. But I've been in practice here in Idaho. My practice has included chiropractic, functional neurology, functional medicine, regenerative medicine, and I am the chief science educator for Synergy Science, US Enzymes, and Master Supplements. So what I'm doing tonight is pulling all the information that I've learned over these years, both clinically and in research, and bringing you that information all lumped in together. This is I'll give you a little bit about my personal life. This is my family. My wife and I have been married for about 2.5 years. And in case you're counting, there are 10 humans in that picture. That means that we do have 8 children together, ranging from the oldest, who is 21, down to the youngest, who is 6. And we are a party. This picture is funny because it's about 2 years old. This one here, our oldest one, Justin, has come and gone. Anyway, he's gone on a mission for our church, for a 2-year mission for the church. He's now back. And then the next oldest one, Mitch, he's now on his mission. He's in Cape Verde, Africa. So it's hard for us to have an updated picture right now because we got kids coming and going. But that is our crew. This is my better half. Everything I do is basically for her at this point. She has a story of lupus, and when we met, we were both going to the same gym, and I told her that I could help her, and she thought I was nuts because I was a chiropractor, and what would a chiropractor be doing to help her with lupus? Long story short, she applied some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about tonight and is doing much, much better. So that's the gist of my story. Here's my mission. My mission is to help as many people as I can to live the best quality of life that they can. And this particular sign cracks me up. Literally every person is pick your favorite train wreck and roll with it. While that may be true, I do feel like there's other things that people miss, that little simple changes that they can make in their lives that can help them have a better quality of life. So that's the direction we're going. Now, I put this in quotation marks, but this is literally me who said that, or who said this, and that is peripheral neuropathy. It's a symptom. It's not a disease. It is actually a symptom of much, much worse things that are going on, that are affecting the blood supply to your nerves, that are cutting off those nerves, And unfortunately, in our medical community, we actually treat this like it's the disease, and we're going to talk about where treatment is for that right now, which, in my opinion, the treatment for it is wrong. And that's why I want to shed a little light on that for you tonight. I throw this quote in here now with all the webinars that I do because I love it. This is my good friend, Dr. Paul Baratero, who said, "We have arrived at a point in history where we are sicker than our ancestors and are in desperate need of modalities of healing that do not add to our toxic load." So you're going to see how I apply this tonight in this webinar over the next couple of minutes. There is a principle that you need to understand, and that principle is called neuroplasticity. And this is the Wikipedia version. It's also known as brain plasticity, neuroelasticity, or neuroplasticity. It's the ability of the brain to change continuously throughout an individual's life. For example, brain activity associated with a given function can be transferred to a different location. The proportion of gray matter can change. Basically, what this is saying is that the old way of thinking is that the human nervous system was hardwired by the time you're age 4. But we now know that you can actually grow new nerves up until the day that you die. The problem is the day that you die, your nerves are dying faster than they're actually growing. So we apply these principles of neuroplasticity to neuropathy. And what we find is that nerves, they're just like muscles. If you exercise those muscles, you can strengthen them. If you don't exercise them, if you don't feed them appropriately, you can and will lose them. So I'm going to say that one more time. Your nerves are just like muscles. If you exercise them and feed them appropriately, you can make them stronger. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. So here we go. What is peripheral neuropathy? The word peripheral basically means it's in your periphery. It's outside of your central nervous system. Your nervous system is made up of a central and a peripheral systems. Your central nervous system consists of your brain and your spinal cord. Everything outside of your brain and spinal cord is considered a peripheral nerve. So the word neuropathy basically just means nerve problem. So you look at the definition, or if you look at the term peripheral neuropathy, it's really kind of stupid because it only means a nerve problem outside of the central nervous system. It really doesn't tell us anything about the actual disease, but it's just a dysfunction of the nerve. And it's always caused by loss of blood flow. I'm going to say that again. It's always caused by loss of blood flow. Now, the most common cause is going to be diabetes, diabetic neuropathy. Okay? Then we have chemo-induced neuropathies, which is what I had. And then we have this thing called idiopathic neuropathy, which if we put our idiopathic, basically means we're idiots. We don't know where it's coming from, so we're going to call it idiopathic. Either way, it leads to damage of the nerves, and that's where that sensation comes from. I want you to look really closely at the picture right below where it says reduced blood flow. This is where neuropathy comes from. If you take a blood vessel that's this big around and you fill it full of this much inflammation, how much blood actually gets through there? Not enough. So what we're going to talk about tonight when we talk about reducing neuropathy, here's the funny thing. I can't say the word treat. The FDA gets all weird about me saying the word treat. But when we help people with neuropathy, we take a blood flow that looks like this and open up that blood flow to allow more blood to get to those nerves, and then do appropriate stimulation to exercise and to feed those nerves. That's how we can actually overcome neuropathy. All right, so let's talk about the actual pathway of neuropathy. Now, it's easiest in these types of talks to just talk about it in your feet. I realize there's people listening tonight that they have it in their hands. They may have it in some different other areas, but most commonly it's in the foot, and that's the easiest place to talk about it. So when you have neuropathy in your feet, you have these nerve endings in your toes. Those nerve endings fire up into your leg, up into the back part of your spinal cord, much like this little schematic on the right side of your screen. Those nerves fire up through that pathway in the spinal cord. So the picture on the left of your screen, this is a cross-section of your spinal cord. So if we were to take your cord and we cut it in half this way and then flipped it on its end like this, this is what you'd be looking at. And you can see where it says sacral right there at the top. That's the back part of your cord. And you see down here at the bottom where it says ventral column. That's the front part of your spinal cord. The dark brown area is gray matter. The tan colored area is white matter. And the blue areas are colored for whatever for educational purposes. Hey, I stole this picture off the internet. I didn't. I wish I could just draw this out for you, because it would be to me it makes a lot more sense if I could just draw the pictures for you, but I'm relying on what they say here. So you have these pathways that come up into the back part of that spinal cord and then travel up through the very part where it says lumbar. They're going to go up through that lumbar area all the way up into your brain. This particular pathway is called the LDA pathway, just like it says there on the slide. LDA stands for large diameter afferent pathway, which in English, it actually means a really big nerve going up. I know that seems a little simple, but that's what that stands for. This is the largest nerve you have in your body. This is the most metabolically fragile nerve that you have. So if you think about it, if you take that blood flow and restrict that blood flow, it's going to affect this nerve pathway first. And when that happens, this nerve pathway is supposed to carry joint position sense, light touch, and vibration sense. When that happens, when you lose that blood flow, it allows the pain nerves to leave unchecked. So what will happen is people will start to feel numb. And then when they lay down to go to sleep at night, those nerves will start going crazy and they'll start feeling a whole bunch of pain. That's where that whole pathway comes from, is because the big pathways are dying, and it's allowing those small pathways crazy and to allow you to feel pain, which is no bueno. So what we're talking about tonight is how do we stimulate that large diameter afferent pathway to naturally inhibit the nerve to help you get those feelings, the feeling back into your hands or feet or wherever they may be. So the current treatment for neuropathy is either medication. They're either going to give you Lyrica or gabapentin, which are both anti-seizure medications. They actually, I put the word treatment in parentheses for a reason, because the FDA will say we can say that Lyrica and gabapentin treat neuropathy, but they actually don't treat neuropathy at all. The only thing they're doing is they're dumbing your brain down so that you don't feel the pain coming through those signals. Then what they're going to do is tell you to learn to live with it. There's no answers for neuropathy. There's been books written about how there's no answers for neuropathy and how to live with neuropathy. I'm telling you that they're wrong. Your nerves are just like the tree that you see on the left side of your screen. That tree, if you stop watering a tree, is it dead tomorrow? No, it's going to take a few days. It's going to brown and wilt and start to shrivel up. But if you take that same tree and you start giving it water and fertilizer and sunshine, that tree's going to come back. Those nerves are the same exact way. As long as those nerve pathways aren't too far gone, then there is a chance that you can actually bring them back. And that's, part of this whole thing is tonight, I want you to understand, we have an offer for you so that we can actually sit down together and determine where those nerves are at so we can see if those nerves are too far gone or not. So if that makes sense to you, if what I say makes sense to you, then please, by all means, schedule an appointment so we can just sit down and we can talk and say, okay, where are these nerves at, so that we can help rehab and get those nerves going in the right direction. So what do we, okay, this is funny. I put this in here as a joke and I'm going to say it. So the FDA says, our government says that, this is the way you treat neuropathy, but this is me literally when the government says anything. Hey, and that just makes me laugh. So, okay, so step one is we need to identify the type of neuropathy that you have. And this is done a couple different ways. Thank you very much. Done through looking at things like labs, and it's done through examination. Most of the time, you can actually get to the bottom of it just by doing a thorough history. So when we meet with our exams with our patients, it is like we're Sherlock Holmes. It's like we're trying to unravel this puzzle to help you understand where that neuropathy has come from. It's important to identify the types, because when it comes to actually treating them and getting them going in the right direction, the type is going to matter. Like, for example, if it's a diabetic neuropathy, then getting blood sugar under control is the absolute number one priority, because if we don't get that under control, that neuropathy is not going to heal. If it's a chemotherapy case, then there needs to be some gut repair, because if you don't repair the damage that was done from the chemotherapy, then it's not going to help bring those nerves back, and so forth. So, I mean, there's so many different examples we can use, but it's very, very important to determine what type of neuropathy that we're dealing with. Okay, secondly, is we need to do everything we can to reduce the toxic load. Remember that picture that I showed you and the example that I used of a blood vessel being this big, you feel this much inflammation, how much blood gets through there. This is where that comes into play. Because if you are shoveling the standard American diet into your mouth, you're going to increase your toxic load, which means you're going to get inflammation into those blood vessels. They're going to shrink down, and they're going to start losing the blood flow that they need. If you have bad intestinal microflora, that's why I put this on your screen. If your microflora are off, they're going to cause neuropathy. We've got to do everything we can to stabilize your gut and to stabilize your microflora, because there's a 100% link between your neuropathy and your gut, period. Hey, one way we can do this is through diet. We counsel with our patients. We have diet protocols that we've used. If you're going to do this on your own, I would say that the Whole30 diet is the best way to get control of the inflammation and get the things down. We can use things like Synergy Science has a machine that adds hydrogen to your drinking water, which is actually what I just got a glass of. The hydrogen in your drinking water can help reduce that toxic load. But if you're going to get over neuropathy, we got to get a hold of this toxic load, and we can help you do that. That's why I'm encouraging you to go ahead and book with us here in just a moment when we show that. In fact, what I'll do is I'll do this right now if I can. Not great at the whole. So there's a click here button now that you can go to actually schedule that consult. So I'll put that on there. I wouldn't click it yet though, because that might take you off of the webinar. So number 2 is let's reduce the toxic load. And then number 3, we've got to fire those nerves. Remember when I said it was important to know what type of neuropathy it was? Here's where we get into this, okay? And here's how we do it. Once we do the exam and we know what is going on, then we can make appropriate recommendations. Like, are we going to use something like cold laser to stimulate the mitochondria to produce more energy, to produce more energy? Are we going to get more blood flow? That's what I was trying to say. Are we going to use at-home LED therapy? These things are awesome. This is what I'm showing right here. This is at-home LED therapy. So you can actually use light therapy to stimulate blood flow to come back to the nerves. PNRT stands for Peripheral Neuropathy Rehab Therapy. These are very specialized TENS units that can be programmed at or near what's called 7.83 hertz. That's the frequency that big group of nerves in the back part of your spinal cord fires at. Chiropractic adjustments can be absolutely helpful. At-home therapies, including carpet walks, windshield wipers, vibration. There's so many things that we can do to actually teach you how to take care of this, so that you can actually start those nerves to rehab. And if you're giving them fuel and you're giving them proper stimulation through these types of therapies, that's how you can overcome peripheral neuropathy. So the next thing, again, is this consultation. And let me come up here in the comment section. And I'm just going to put what's called a sticky message in here, which I think will pop the link on there. Nope, that's the wrong link. Just kidding. Here, give me 2 seconds. I'll grab it from the right place. My computer's being a little picky here. Let's see, command. Whoops. I know it's a break in the flow. I'm sorry. Paste. Okay, there's the link as well. Go ahead and schedule that exam. We can talk over the phone, even though I would prefer to do this in the office. But I want to review your labs, your history, what your treatment looks like, so that I can really point you in the right direction on what a plan of action would look like. Normally, we charge $150 for that. If you schedule this through this webinar, then it'll be $79. But let's just talk. Let's see what direction that needs to go. And let's see whether or not those nerves, if they're too far gone or not, we can tell usually pretty quickly. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. I hope that makes you. I appreciate you guys being here. I'll hang out for a couple minutes. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask me. But otherwise, if you'll click on that link, then we can really get down to the nitty gritty and make this personal for you. So thanks so much. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.